Alright. Let's go. So I've decided that I'm going to continue doing videos in the car. I realize that I miss it doing it in the morning. So I'm going to continue doing videos in the car. I will also do videos from the house. But those ones will be more, I guess, direct subject, less stream of consciousness. I don't know. Squirrels, get out of the road. I don't want to run over squirrels. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to continue doing videos in the car because I like doing it and it's easy, and I'm hoping that I'm getting better at it, but we'll see. So I want to talk about last night's joint session of Congress address by the President of the United States. I guess the reaction from just about everybody, even Trump's, opponents in the media, detractors in the media, was that it was a good speech. I thought it was a pretty good speech. I thought it was very presidential. I watched it, and my wife was there watching it. She wasn't really watching it. She was in the room because she has no interest in that stuff. But my wife was there, and she had her own thoughts about it. But it was surprising to see Chris Matthews. He almost had a shiver down his leg moment in his assessment of the speech too. He spoke well of the president, which is kind of surprising. Van Jones spoke well of the speech as well, even going so far as saying if he can keep doing this, he'll win in 4 years again. He'll be a president for 2 full terms. And people have constantly said, he's not presidential. And that may be true in his day-to-day, interactions on Twitter, and when he has one-on-one interviews and he's off the cuff. Some of the things he says, they're not presidential. But, again, that's what got him elected. I've said it before. People didn't want a politician. People didn't want someone with polish. They had 8 years of that. They want someone who is plain speaking. But yeah, all told, it was a good speech. A couple things I didn't like about the speech. When he called upon the widow of the Navy SEAL who was lost in the recent Yemen operation. Now, let me clarify. It's not that I didn't like that he called upon her. I think that showed, a genuine respect for the military, a genuine respect for people who lose their lives in service of the country. Great. The applause went on for a couple minutes. The applause went on for like 2 minutes. And the camera cut to the widow and her reaction, and you could tell she was clearly moved. And then Trump, said, "I think we broke a record." And he's probably right. I don't know. I mean, maybe people have clapped for longer for other things, but that was like 2 minutes. One of the things my wife said while she was watching is his microphone was picking up his clapping, and that was kind of annoying. And unfortunately, anytime that clip is now shown for whatever promotional reasons, for whatever political point somebody wants to make, you're going to hear the president clapping for 2 minutes. And the thing is, yes, okay, so people clap for a good long time. But they were only clapping, Mr. President, because you didn't stop clapping. If you had stopped clapping, they would have stopped clapping. I think eventually people said, okay, he's not going to stop, so we better just stop. And then they just all sort of stopped clapping. Anyway, that was something that I noticed. I was kind of like, that's a little awkward. I don't think it was forced, though. I think there's some sentiment, I think, from people that it was disingenuous. That and I know that there's been some Twitter comments saying this widow was used by the president as a political prop, and I think that's a very cynical point of view. I actually think that Donald Trump actually has genuine respect for the military, and I think people in the military believe that to be true. I think the people who try to paint it as somehow manufactured or simply political gamesmanship or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but I think there's a bit of butthurt on the part of those people, or maybe they're just so used to having disingenuous politicians that when someone gets up there and is genuine about something, they don't believe it. There's a cynicism in Washington and a cynicism in politics, press, and media about politicians, and I think that goes to a lot of the trouble that Trump is having with the press, because they're so used to people being liars who are in positions of power that they assume that everybody who attains power is automatically lying. And I think for the most part, Trump's probably genuine when it comes to, at the very least, issues regarding the military. He mentioned that operation was a success. There was some sort of criticism of that particular comment, because I guess the word hasn't come down yet whether or not it was a success. People were saying, well, Mattis never said it was a success, but I don't think that's in his candor. I don't think that's how he would speak about an operation. Maybe he spoke privately to the president about that operation as being a success. I don't know. Anyway, what was some of the things I didn't like about the address? Oh, some things I noticed, not necessarily didn't like. I thought was kind of funny. While people are applauding, the Democrats are like a bunch of statues. They're sitting there with pouts on their face, arms crossed, not applauding. It was weird. It was like half the room was applauding, the other half of the room was not. It was funny. And I guess the same thing happened with Obama. I'm sure there was times when, they didn't applaud, the Republicans didn't applaud when Obama addressed the Congress. It's fine. Trump mentioned something called The Voice. And it's some acronym. I think it stands for Victims of Immigrant Crime something. E stands for something. Engagement? Yeah, I think that's it. Victims of Immigrant Crime Engagement. So, people, when they heard that, I guess on the left side, on the Democrat side, they were like, oh, there was some gasp and there was some jeering a little bit, because how dare you associate crime with immigrants? So here he is, he's using divisive language. He's being plain about it. The fact of the matter is that illegal immigrants are vastly overrepresented in crime statistics, violent crime statistics, and drug crime statistics. So when people are victims of it, they should be listened to. Now, my wife, this is one of the few times she actually commented on something political with me, because she doesn't really like talking with me about politics, because we disagree so much. But my wife said, well, why should their voices be heard any more than any other victim of crime? And I tried to explain to her. I said, look, it's because if a guy who was born in the United States, grew up in the United States, becomes a criminal and kills another person, another citizen, that's a criminal justice issue. That's something to do with, crime, punishment. But when it's somebody who didn't have a legal right to be in the country commits that crime, then it needs to be addressed in a different way, because it's now a federal security issue. It's now under the federal government's mandate. They're responsible for enforcing border security, right? So the voices of these victims, survivors, family members, people who've been killed or people who've been assaulted, their voice deserves to be heard in that respect, because it's going to be the federal government that needs to enact policy. And I get my wife's point. It is sort of, it's definitely a political action to say we're going to start this foundation or start this this initiative called Voice. And I get the people saying, well, that's divisive because you're painting all immigrants with a broad brush. No, I don't think that's the case. The fact that the word immigrant is used... Whoa. I almost killed myself. The fact that the word immigrant is used in the title has nothing to do with, you know, people who are here illegally and weren't born in this country. But it does speak to the issue to a degree. I'm of the mind that if you're in the country, even if you're in the country legally as a resident, or on a student visa, or on a work visa, if you engage in violent crime, you should have your visa revoked. Simple as that. You shouldn't get a chance to, you know, you should face the normal court system, justice system. But afterwards, you should be kicked out of the country. You know, if you were given a scholarship to a private school, if your kid was given a scholarship to a private school, and they go to the private school, and then all they do is fuck the dog. You know, they don't show up for classes. They don't do their assignments. They don't put in the effort, right? They're not going to stay in that school. They'll kick them out because that person's taking up a spot for somebody who actually wants to take advantage of their opportunity, right? So, I feel the same way about somebody who's there on a work visa. Somebody who's there on a student visa, if they start to become involved in crime, like actual crime, I don't mean like, you know, drunken disorderly or, you know, parking tickets, speeding tickets, that kind of thing. I mean somebody who's involved in a crime, and they shouldn't be a student anymore. They should be kicked out. That's my opinion, but whatever. I've never been in that situation, but. Anyway, that's just what I wanted to talk about, I guess briefly, about the POTUS's address to the joint session of Congress. Like and subscribe if you like the video. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Minds as well. I think it's the same name on Minds as it is on Twitter, at Craig Bragg, CraigBragg. And I have a Facebook page called Craig Bragg's Jimmy Wrestling Politics page. You can follow that too. Thanks very much. Have a good one.